hate you, you know? And I was like, you know, I read a few of the comments and I was like, okay. Chewed off all my nails, and then I was like, okay, you know what? I can't not let this get to me. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie, but there's, you know, it's hard when you've grown up with this cartoon, this idea of who these guys are, and then they're adapting it into another form. Regardless of what these characters are and what they represent and how they're perceived, I just think that it's important to pass on these stories because Dragon Ball is a pretty cool story. There's lots of, you know, classic myth in there and great messages, and it's important to, you know, constantly be renewing them and bringing them into other formats. And that's what we're doing here with this. You know, this first movie is more of an introduction to the characters and kind of setting up the whole world.
Damn it!
From War of the Worlds to Dragon Ball Evolution, is action-adventure your genre of choice, or does it really depend on the script?
No, I think that it always just comes down to story and also, like, you know, different roles, picking you as an actor. No, I never thought that I'd be involved in making end-of-the-world alien films or, like, ninja films. I mean, this is, you know, it's wild. It's an adventure. I feel like I'm on my own adventure with doing different parts. But it is important for me to be constantly playing different parts and being a part of stories that are, you know, completely different from one another. But it always comes down to a combination of what's the story about, the role, and the people involved in making it.
At this point in your career, how do you go about finding work? Do you go on constant auditions, or are you offered roles?
It's a combination, you know. I'll still audition if it's the type of part where people are like, no, he can't play that because we've never seen that before, and so I'll have to, you know, go in there and rally and do my song and dance and go, hire me, you know, I can do it. And then sometimes, you know, if it's a type of film where I've done a similar part, you know, I'll get it offered. But I think you can get caught up in Los Angeles with like doing a lot of sitting around and waiting, and you can get in your head, you know, and it's like something that's really, really dangerous is to live here and wait for someone to knock on your door. My theory is throw as much stuff at the wall and see what sticks, because it's a town where you kind of got to bring in your stories and offer something to the pie. So for me, it's become important to start looking at what sort of stories do I want to tell. And we're moving into an age where like everyone's got a camera, and like these are like quality cameras now. So I think it's the dawn of the media age, and I think that it's a pretty exciting time to be involved in movie making.
As an actor, you've been exposed to all aspects of filmmaking. So after this hands-on experience, do you have any aspirations to either write, direct, or produce in the future?
Yeah, I'll hold a boom. You know, I'll do anything. You know, as long as I can like stay involved with you know, the process of movie making, I'll do it. I'll do crafty. You name it, I'm there. Call me up. I'll do it. But yeah, I mean, being involved in storytelling for me is, if I can stay in that and be involved somewhere or another, you know, that is what makes me happy.
You seem like a bit of a film aficionado. What kind of studying of film do you do when you're not on a movie set, and aside from going to acting classes?
It depends. You know, sometimes I'll sit in on a USC class. I know this is what you're getting to. You know, honestly, yeah. Sometimes if there's a movie that like I can't get a hold of, I have a list of classes from these film schools around town, and I'll actually go sit in on these 300-seat classes and sit in the back and watch classic movies. You know, movies are relatively new, so you know, we only have about 100 years of, you know, making films. But you know, sometimes I'll just sit down and grab 3 old films, you know, whether it's you know, old Bertolucci film or a Antonioni film, or you know, just you know, Scorsese film, you know, and I'll sit down and as I'm watching, I'll like write out the plot, you know, to try to understand like how they did it, how they came across this story. So for me, it's watching the masters, watching Ford, watching D.W. Griffith, watching these masters who originated the idea of telling a story through moving pictures.
I think there's a couple classes I can recommend for you to sneak into.
Sneak into?
I'm going to keep an eye out for you. So what kind of things do you look for when you're reading a script for a film that you are interested in making?
It's nothing specific that I look for in like a script. I think it's just when you read it, like, is it something you've never seen before? Is it something that makes you genuinely laugh, genuinely feel, or genuinely get excited? Do you feel the blood in your veins boil? You know, I don't think it's intellectual. I think that it's, how does it make you feel? You know, is it bringing a part of yourself out? Does a character want to come out of you when you read it? Do you go, oh my God, like, are you filled with ideas? Or is it just, you read it and you go, not interested, you know?
Well, thanks again, Justin, for joining us. One final question. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned in your career so far that we can learn from you today?
I think that it's important to have a good time. If you're doing this and you're not having a good time, I think it's important to like move on to something else, because in the end, we're making movies, and making movies is fun. And playing pretend is fun. So that's the most important thing for me, is having a good time when you're doing it, because if not, it's not worth it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Justin. It's
Thanks
been
for
great.
having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.